Would have been around a couple of $100,000. Went home, read through my contract again just so that I knew all my options, and I was like, oh no, you paid $500,000 for it, but he'd be right because you could always sell it. Well, you can't. We were paying subcontractors and hadn't sent our client an invoice for the job they had done for us. And I'm like, oh, it's pretty obvious now why I've got no money. Still got to try and pay for all these vac trucks every month. I've got a whole $600,000 and I've paid out all these subcontractors that have done this work that I've just, you can have it for free, builder, it's fine.
And then Christmas comes and you're rich again.
You need to resign from what you were doing. She had a pretty good job.
You're looking for help, because you're under, like you're drowning, and you're like, please. Often it's the missus who gets the tap on the shoulder that says, I need your help.
My daughter was about 6 weeks old, and the missus goes, I need you for a day. I've got so much to catch up on. We've got claims to put in, this and that. You need to just tell the boys you're not going to site, and I need your help. Otherwise, we're not getting paid. I was like, is this what you do every day? She's like, yeah. I'm like, this ain't good.
All right, welcome back. Another episode here today. We are here with Brenton Davey from Control Tech Solutions, Managing Director. And we're here to talk about Control Tech Solutions. So take it away, Brenton.
All things vac trucks. Thanks for having me on, Jimmy. Brenton Davey, Managing Director, Control Tech Solutions.
When did you start?
2014. So I took a bit of a different entry into the industry than what most people would probably think. I didn't work for another company with vac trucks. I wasn't in civil. I did an electrical apprenticeship with a big air conditioning company. From there, went on to work for the NBN Co, which was obviously doing the government rollout of the fibre network. It was sort of like a field supervisor role at that time, and we were doing work around Carlton all the way out to Melton, supervising some civil contractors, putting in lead-ins to properties, hauling a bit of fibre, and I spent 12 months there. And it was in that time I met a lot of people, had a really good look at how everyone was doing things. Again, had barely even operated an excavator, let alone a vac truck. So after 12 months there, I decided I was going to have a crack on my own. With the electrical background, I got an opportunity to start doing the fibre connection from the house to the pit out the front.
Yeah.
So I was like, that'll do. I need something. So I got a little trailer set up, got some shovels, employed a mate who wasn't working at the time, and said, we're going to have a crack at this. So it started like that. If we could get the cable through, we got the cable through. If we couldn't, we'd get the shovel out, we'd dig up the blockage, we'd fix it, and we'd go from there. So I did that for about 4 months, and then the company I was subbing to at the time said, look, this work's drying up. There's no more of it, but we sort of got some bigger work for you, but you can't dig these blockages with shovels. You can't hand dig these conduits in. You're going to need a little excavator and a truck, little truck, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to grow a business. I wanted to employ more people. This is what I wanted. So straight to the auctions. Got a little tipper. I've still got it.
You still got it now?
Still got it.
I
don't reckon I can sell that thing. So a little crane on the back, and went and got myself a little excavator and went, right, where are we going?
Yeah. So your first address, please. Sorry for interrupting this episode. I may as well do my own ads on here rather than just having YouTube ads. ConExpo has its last discount code up now. It's going to last all the way to the expo. It's Starbucks 20 and get you 20% off of your tickets. So don't buy them at full price. Look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks.
Might have been, we need you in Canberra on Monday. And I was like,
whoa.
Righto, give me the plans, let's go. So it was all very exciting at that point. You know, the sort of dream was sparking, I guess. Did those, they were, so still in the communications, more business connections for optic fibre. So instead of going from the home to the pit out the front, we'd go from a business, run the fibre into their comms room and go to the nearest joint. Might have been out the front of the building, it might have been 500 metres down the road, and any conduit link in between we we put it in and got the fibre into the business.
Okay.
So that went on for a little while, and then back on a little bit more NBN work, then some Telstra work, all in the same part of the industry. And then it was in 2016 we were sort of like we were treading water. The work wasn't out of control. Not too many opportunities for the growth that I really wanted. And I got a call from a company who I'd been doing some subby work for, saying we're heading over to Tasmania and going to go help with the NBN rollout down there. They're having a few dramas delivering on time. Are you interested? And I was like, yes, I am, but what does it look like? He's like, well, we're getting over there next week. Once we get started, come over. So, a couple of weeks roll on and I get the call, went over there, had a look, and it looked pretty good. And it was a nice change from what we were doing back here. And we're probably in, it's I think 2016 now. So I had 3 staff at the time. And
okay.
And
this is where the real control tech comes out. I thought I can feel this at this moment here. Before we're playing around with mini excavators and a small tipper with a crane on the back. Was it a tipper or just a flatbed?
No, it was a tipper.
Little tipper. All right. And now because control tech is not known for little tippers.
No, and not really excavators either. So this is where we go from either explode or implode. But anyway, we at that point, I had a really tight crew of guys, and they helped me out. I wouldn't have been able to do any of it without them. So my ambitions to go and try and take over the world and go interstate and take my gear and me and my workers away from their families was great in my eyes, but I was like, this needs to be we're all in or we're all out.
Yeah.
So I still remember back then, got all the boys together on a Friday afternoon and said, look, we can do this, but we're all committing for a minimum 4 months because we can't get over there and in 3 weeks you say you miss your dog and you got to go. And then I've got to employ people from Tasmania and then another one of you goes and another one, and then all of a sudden I'm there with 3 or 4 or 5 blokes that I've employed from Tasmania, because then I don't have a business when I come home, and I don't want to live there. So,
whereabouts in Tassie were you?
We were in Hobart, just around Hobart. So we sort of started in.
What did the boys say actually? What did the boys say? Because those are the moments, you don't realise it at the time. You're only thinking about the job.
Yeah.
But thinking back 10 years ago, that might have been, like 10 years later, that might be a moment that you realise, like, something. Who knows what it is that you realise. But at the end of the day, like, what did they say? Did they look at you like you had 2 heads? Did one guy say, well, I really love my dog? Have you seen him?
Nah, look, to be honest, they all were like, that sounds awesome. So the question sort of started from there, like, how often are we going to come home and this and that? And I'd already sort of had these answers lined up. It was, we're going to do 10 days and then we're going to come back for 3. And this is how the pay is going to work and blah, blah, blah. And they were all like, let's go. I was like, right.
Hell yeah, let's go. I don't like my dog and I don't like my missus. So
pretty much. So I was like, all of you, not just 1 or 2 of you. Nah, let's go. It'd be good fun. I said, okay, beautiful. 4 months. So going over there, there's some parts of Hobart that are rocky and this and that, and I had a 1.7 tonne digger, and I'm like, I'm not shifting my life to try and trench 15 metres a day with a 1.7. I need something a little bit bigger, and I need to be able to put more concrete in a tipper and blah, blah, blah. So I went and got an 8 metre tipper, a 3.5 tonne excavator, rock breaker, and went, right, we're going to Tassie. So we went, and it was great. I think it was about the 6-week mark that the first bloke said, how long do you think we're going to be here for? Yeah. My missus is getting sick of it. And I was like, so I looked him in the eyes and said, what? Remember the conversation?
I'm pretty sure I fed you a sausage and gave you a beer, and you looked at me and told me that you were in and agreeable.
Yeah, and look, this particular guy was very, very good for my business in the early days, and he was with me for a long time. And I said, this is going to help set us up when we get home as well, and sort of told him all the good things, and that went away, and he said, yeah, fair enough. But anyway, we spent those 4 months working over there, and we were under another contractor at the time who I was working for here, which worked out really well. And then coming up to the 4-month mark was when, right, that was always the timeline. The boys were getting a bit antsy, and so was I. Like, you only spend so much time away from your mates, your family, that you go, right, I'm ready to go home. So we booked the boat back home, and I had no idea what I was doing when I got back. It was just, we all knew it was time to get back to Melbourne. So we were working for one of the NBN delivery partners at the time who sort of knew we were a subby company, and got wind that we wanted to go home, and I tried to do a little bit of convincing to stay, and I said, mate, it's more than rates and what we've got to do every day. This is family and friends, and we're going home.
This is life. This is
life.
Yeah,
we're going home. So we went back home, and the manager of this company at the time said, right, well, if I can't keep you here, I'll organise a meeting for you back in Melbourne with the crew there and see if we can get you some work. And I was like, that'd be great, because I have absolutely nothing to go to.
I'm fucked.
And so it was actually, it was the week before we were coming home. I flew back on a Monday to have this meeting. I thought, I don't know where this is going. I don't know where my business is going. I don't know what we're all going to do when we get back, but we're coming home. So I went into this meeting expecting, I've got to sit there and sell myself. This is what we can do. This is what we've done in Tasmania, and this and that. And we luckily got a pretty nice reference from the guys in Tasmania. And instead of the conversation about, what can you do, it was here's a contract and when can you start? And I was obviously a big turning point for me.
Yeah, Monday. All of my boys come back and we got nothing. Monday, I'm
the
good.
Spirit of Tassie rolls in at 6. Where do you want us at 7?
Yeah.
So that was great, and they had a bunch of work in and around the southeast, which is where I'm from.
Yeah, Toorak.
So not Toorak, Berwick, and then we went out to the peninsula, Dramana, this and that.
Just in case there's any out-of-state listeners, Toorak's like the most expensive suburb. So just if you need some context with that one.
Yeah, there's no houses in my name in Toorak.
Nah, no one owns NDD trucks in Toorak.
No, I don't think so. So, and this is sort of where, we were talking about before, where the growth actually... the growth started. We got this opportunity. It was direct this time, which isn't always better. That came with its complications too. We had a lot of support when we were subbing from the company who I was working for, and it's all you then. Yeah. So we started, and it was great. But I think about 2 weeks in, I was like, I didn't have admin, I didn't have anything, and I was like, what am I going to do? And my missus, who's still my missus now, I said, you need to resign from what you were doing. She had a pretty good job, and she was like, what? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like.
Isn't it funny how the world goes round, and because I've been in the same position multiple times with multiple things, and multiple people. And you're looking for help, because you're under, you're drowning, and you're like, please. Often it's the missus who gets the tap on the shoulder that says, I need your help, or I know opposite scenarios as well, where the missus' business has boomed, and then she's like, right, you're not working for no one else anymore because I'm under it. I'm a bit fucked.
Yeah.
Did she come on board?
She came on board, and she goes, at the start it was like, well, what am I going to be doing? I don't know what you guys do. I don't know the clients. I don't know this and that. What am I going to be doing every day? And I was like, I don't know yet.
Yeah, help.
The most important thing right now is that I know your start date when you're finishing up from your job, your work, and starting with me because I need your help. And obviously, being your missus, it's sort of you get going pretty quick with what the requirements are and what we need.
Is she now queen of all things back end of control tech?
No, she's not actively working in the business.
When did she stop?
We tried to get her to stop after she had our first daughter, and it wasn't until so she was going to try and work through after our first daughter was born, and I think it was my daughter was about 6 weeks old, and my missus goes, "I need you for a day. I've got so much to catch up on. We've got claims to put in, this and that. Like, you need to just tell the boys you're not going to site, and I need your help. Otherwise, we're not getting paid." And I was like, all right. And, you always feel like you need to be on site. You need to be in the digger. I need to be driving the truck.
Paid like that.
It sounds pretty good.
All right, I'm there.
Yeah. So, and then it was then that I realised we had a 6-week-old daughter. My missus is trying to show me something. The baby cries, there, back. And I was like,
this ain't working.
I was like, is this what you do every day? She's like, yeah. I'm like, this ain't good. And she's like, oh. She was a big part of the start and still the journey today. But she's like, I didn't want to whinge, but it's not great. And so I employed someone to do her job. She was always there helping.
It was really difficult because, like, from my end, like, it's like, hey, I need a swims. Like, when my missus started back, I don't even know how long now, 9, 10, 11 years, 9, we'll call it, years ago. She, you say, I don't have a swims. I didn't have an invoice template. I didn't need an invoice template. Why do you need an invoice template? I work, like, I'm pretty certain it's similar to you. Work for a guy named Rob. I send him an invoice that says excavation or trucking, 27,000, and then I send it and he pays it.
Yeah, he knows what I did.
Yeah, he knows what I did. And then all of a sudden you start working for all these other people and different stuff and different contracts and different paperwork you got to produce. And then all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, I can dig a hole and I can truck some dirt. I don't know about, like, reporting my hours of whatever. Like, who's the trainee that we have, or, like, what's our sustainability goals, or, I can remember one problem I had. How much carbon do your trucks produce?
Put out. Very good question.
I don't know. I can tell you how long they take to dig a hole, though. Yeah. But it turns that you have to do both. And so that's when you can tap someone on the shoulder, your missus, and go, right, today you're doing HR, tomorrow you're doing payroll, the day after you're, doing claims, AR, AP, you name it, the whole lot. You're talking to truck drivers trying to put them on a job as well. They just end up in that really, in the first stage where you're going from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, and then you need some back end and office built, then often they're the first ones that come. And
they got to do everything. This is what, like, at the start I said to her, you don't have a role as such. It's just helping. It's everything. And she was a delivery driver, she was the admin, she was payroll, HR, everything.
Send the plans, email the guy for the plans. Find me the phone number of someone somewhere to help.
Well, I can keep working. And look, that comes with its challenges. So we both wanted, obviously, her to concentrate on being a mum, but also get her away from the business for the cause of a relationship too. Because what ends up happening is you go home at night and she might be halfway through a conversation about what our daughter did that day, and I'll cut her off and say, "Did you send that email? Oh, and what about that? And what about that?" When we end up talking for 10 minutes and the conversation about our daughter's disappeared 10 minutes ago. And it ends up, like, at the start it's fine, but you're doing that every single night, and then you're about to go to sleep and you're like, oh, hey, did you get that? Did such and such pay? And so I was like, right, it's time to separate that. But sort of in this period is where I suppose we haven't got into where the vac trucks started yet.
Yeah, everyone's sitting waiting for where vac trucks come into it because there's about 75 of them driving around Melbourne. Sometimes I feel like that say control tech on the side of them. I
think they're breeding some of them.
But but you know what I mean? Like I think it's because they do so many multiple jobs a day that you can if you're doing 2 or 3 jobs in a day and they're all driving forwards and backwards and you got 10, you might see 30 of them on the road.
Might have been the same one 10 times. But so this next phase is where the NDD trucks came in. So we were installing the nodes, the green boxes you see around for the NBN, and pits, pipe, you name it. And then the client we were working for at the time brought in some new requirements because there was so many service strikes. You're not allowed to dig within X, I can't remember at the time, might have been a metre or 500 of any service, lead in, main, nothing. How are you going to be able to dig?
You
also aren't allowed to start digging with an excavator until you've exposed every service within that area and the supervisor has come and looked at it and said, you're good to go.
How are you going to make any money? What, you got to pot hole every single one of them?
Every single one. So then any tree, so any drip line, and I know that these requirements still are actually getting worse today, no digging past any trees.
So no digging under the drip line of a tree, doing the NBN in a fucking footpath, connecting it from a 7 pit to a 12 pit or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah. No.
But there's trees everywhere.
Trees everywhere, services everywhere, and we're like, righto, no worries. I can't afford to just go out and buy a vac truck, so we were subbing them in, which we did. So we were using a company. Oh, look, it probably would have been, thinking back, about 6 months, subbing this NDD work out, get the invoices, pass them on. But what was starting to happen was these guys were getting way too unreliable. I'd call, where's my truck? Oh, didn't anyone call you? Our bloke called in sick and we can't get it to you there. So I'm like, boys.
Well, I've got a full crew.
Shovels.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah.
And so same as we'd get trucks rolling up. They'd be working for half an hour and I'd go, we've got to go off for an hour and dump. I said, you just started. Oh, yeah, but we had a job from yesterday that they didn't dump and there was still some mud in the tank and, yeah, we'll be back in 2 hours. And I'm like, this is no good. So some days, I remember this, still remember, I think I was sitting in a back street of Berwick somewhere and it was 11 o'clock in the morning and the excavator hadn't even got off the truck. I had dirt everywhere. I had 3-4 blokes throwing shovels around. We're all sweating and we were on a schedule of rates. So there's no hourly. If I haven't put any pipe in the ground, I'm not getting any money. So I was like, right, went and sat in my excavator, got up truck sales and found an NDD truck.
Yeah, that one will do.
Yep. That one will do. And that one did do. So it turned out to be, I called the number while I was sitting there in the excavator and it happened to be a bloke who I'd done some subby work for and I didn't realise it was their truck. I said, oh, you got this truck for sale? He's like, yeah, we're moving it on. Things are changing here and we're going to get it, whatever. It's for sale. Is it all good? Yep. I'll have it. And they're like, oh, right. When? I'm like, as soon as I can convince someone to give me the money for it.
Mm. So, I actually haven't gone for finance that often on that much shit that I'm uncertain how it's going to go at the moment, which is something that people don't talk about, yeah? Like it's the big part of what I think is the challenge around business ownership, starting from a small thing to a medium thing, let's say. You know, we're never going to be the guys building the bridges, you know, or the tunnels or whatever it is. But, you know, like a company of 50, 100, 150 blokes or something like that. Where do you learn that stuff? Who do you go to talk to? You're saying, yeah, I need the truck. I've found the truck. I'm happy with the truck. What do I do next? You know, like first time I bought something that like I did all of the insurance. I went to all of the finance and I went to go pick it up and they said, you haven't insured it. you can't pick it up and because we can't settle on it. And you go, well, was anyone going to tell me I had to insure it?
Yeah.
You know, let me get onto the phone to the insurance broker who doesn't answer my phone calls for 2 days and then see where we're at.
Oh, and that's where, you know, the hard lessons sort of started from here, and the education about the back end of business that we were sort of touching on earlier started here. So I'm like, I'll have the truck, and obviously a lot of money, cash flow wasn't great. It was a fresh business, and I was nervous, very nervous. But I got the truck. It worked on my jobs, and it, you know, call it luck, call it whatever you want. After I bought that truck, there seemed to be a lot of jobs where I had trees, I had this and that.
Yeah, he was on a schedule of rates, boys. So all of a sudden, it's before the tree wasn't under the drip line. Now the drip line, that's a hard line. The services, before he didn't even study the dial before you digs. Now he's like marking each and every single line. What, redundant? We should check on that one.
Check on it. And yeah, I don't think we need the excavator anymore. This NDD truck will do. Nah, look, it was good. We had a lot of work lined up for that one truck, and the company I was working for at the time sort of supported me with the purchase of that machine too, because if another contractor needed to NDD past a tree and they rang and said, oh, can you organise me a vac truck, this and that, they were calling the other company who I was using. I said, hey, can you try me out too and send it around to some other contractors? And they did, and that helped a lot.
When I started in the trucks, like I know of my turning point that I had in the trucks. I was ringing up. I was doing a basement, and my cartage company that I had, my first account, really my first decent account that I had, they couldn't place the dirt. So I rung up someone else and said, "Can you send me some truck and trailers?" And they're like, "Right, you've got 12 truck and trailers. They're going to do 5 loads. Each load is this. You need to prepay on your credit card $14,000." And I'm like, "Phew. Yeah, okay, but we're getting it done. Like, yep, load it up, let's go." And then you've trucked for one day and then you go again. And then they're like, we need another $14,000. And you go, this is fucking insanity. Can you give me an account? Or our accounts take 2 to 3 weeks to open up and blah, 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 blah. And so at the end of the week, I think I paid them $50K. And I didn't have $50K to be like putting in the bin when they're going to be paying me in so long that it almost becomes like it's not even a question. Like you're sitting here and saying, I'm dealing with vac trucks that have to go home, vac trucks that don't rock up, vac trucks that are unreliable, and I can't run. And so the choices are don't run or buy a vac truck. My choice was get my own trucks or don't dig holes anymore because I don't have 50 grand to be paying them.
Because my credit cards are maxed out.
Yeah, I am at max. I'm borrowing money off of my auntie. Yeah. But, you know, like, so that it's very, very interesting to sit in this side of the chair after so many of these conversations that end up with people being like, well, listen, it just got to a point where it all made sense and now all of a sudden I'm here and like the name that they say that they are, like you go, fuck, is that how it all started? Like you're just sitting there and going, if that subby had been on it, if he had ran a business that was tight, you never would have bought a vac truck.
I wouldn't have bought one, no.
No, never ever. And it's so it happened a lot in the trucking game in COVID. We couldn't get enough trucks.
Yeah.
So everyone went and bought their own trucks. You know, it was it's real interesting to see. But keep going because
it was sort of a necessity, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the company supported me and the truck was busy. And it sort of, that was a real turning point for me in my business because as much as I loved, ripping up footpath and trenching in conduits, pits and this and that, I got this first vac truck. I'd never operated a vac truck before. I didn't know where to dump it. I didn't know how to operate it properly. But we bought it and we had a crack. So once I started using, I was in the vac truck, this vac truck. I wouldn't sort of let anyone touch it. Probably for the first 2 to 3 months, I reckon. It was like, nah, I'm in it. Now,
how much was it? How much was the vac truck?
It was 155 grand.
And 155 grand was all of it. Like that was everything.
It was everything. So I start using this truck. I'm ringing people, where do I take this to dump? And at the start, I'm like, you sure it's not that much to dump it? But I had to go there. The mud had to go somewhere. Then you find you talk to people, you do your research, and you find better places to take it, cheaper, blah, blah, blah. So that truck, it stayed pretty busy. And that was, like I say, the turning point to go, right, I think these vac trucks are the direction I want to take the business, not so much buy more excavators. This would have been it was either late 2016 or early 17.
Because it's really interesting, because at some point, and I don't know when it was because I'm no vac truck expert, but at some point it seemed like everyone's asking for NDD. Like at some point they're like, we want to pothole all of the services and NDD trucks are coming. And Jimmy, we have to wait for an NDD truck to do it. And then like they weren't a thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, bang, now they're a thing. Now they're here. That's it. Well, you have to A, wait, or B, and then the road jobs and the level crossings and the tunnels, and we're going to pothole every single service in the entire city to find out where they run and what they're doing. And there's a vac truck on every corner.
Yeah, it's just not negotiable anymore.
Yeah.
Where it was a bit of this engineer wants to do that, but it seems like a waste of money to me. That was sort of like a 2017-18 mentality. 2021... you're not doing it unless you've got vac trucks.
Yeah.
So,
not doing it. Like, as in, it's not going to happen.
Do not let that bucket touch the dirt.
That we can't sign off on our dig permit without having a vac truck find something or do whatever, which is a real interesting thing, because it seems like you were around long enough beforehand to start up, and have a couple of vac trucks underneath you. But then all of a sudden, once you hit the ground, you were the hungry one, that went out and started chasing it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think obviously timing's everything as well. I made this sort of decision, or had an ambition, to go out and turn Control Tech into a vac truck company that was just digging trenches. At the same time, these requirements for NDD were becoming stronger and stronger on every project, including major projects. Then you've got your house developments that require them now. And that's when the vac side of things started to grow. So I went out probably 4 months after the first one, and I bought another smaller one, which the intention of that smaller one was to go out and repair blockages. I sort of came to an agreement with this company to say, instead of these guys going out and digging these blockages up with an excavator, because what happens is where you've got a blockage, someone's hit the pipe or the conduit beforehand, and there's cables sticking out. So they were hitting the cables trying to fix the blockage. I said, I'll go take my vac truck, have a little tipper, follow it around, we'll dig it up, we'll fix it, we'll move on. So, and that ended up being a really sort of successful method for these blockages for a while. And then that's when I sort of sat back and I went, right, my goal is major projects. I want to get on the big jobs. And I can't do it with these two trucks because they're not big enough, they're not shiny enough, and there's none of these smaller trucks out in these projects. I either need to be happy doing what I'm doing, or I need to take a leap. And so...
Was that a conscious thought that you had? Was that like, I want to be on those sorts of jobs, so I'm going to do this?
It was... I was really, really hungry to grow at that point, and I was like, this is where I want to go. And at that time it was a dream. I'm like, I might get there, might not, but if I am going to give myself any chance, I need a shiny truck. So
makes sense.
Vac trucks were very, very hard to get at that point. The lead times were out 10, 12 months. Rang around all the manufacturers and they were all pretty much the same. And then I got a call back from a company in Goulburn, Australian-made vac trucks, Vac Vader. And they said, hey, we've just had someone pull out. You're not necessarily next, but we don't have a truck in Melbourne yet, and I think it'll be great. And I was like, done. Bought the truck. Worked out the finance.
Big shiny NDD trucks start to get a bit expensive.
That one was $550, I think, and so I was running a small business.
So you've jumped from $150, then you bought another smaller one, and then now you're under it. Now you've bought a big, shiny, brand new vac truck and bring it home to Melbourne.
And didn't have any work for it.
Of course not.
I had none. But I sat there and I was like, what am I going to do? Call everyone and say, I might be getting this. What do you think? I'm like, oh, you can't do that.
I don't think you can. So I've gone through like bulldozers, graders, excavators, big size shit, small and everything else like that. You can't get someone to put the pen to paper or give you the job until you got the digger to do it, or the NDD or whatever it is. And so like all of these great business plans and stuff like that, where does it come underneath like a line item that you have all of this stuff and then it says purchasing equipment, buy it before you have any work for it, and then find the work? That sounds like bad business, but in actual fact, it's what most people sit in that chair and end up saying, like, I did this and I took on this that didn't have, any work for it or whatever. I had a digger that was parked up for 4 months. It was a garden ornament, 14 tonne. I only had 3 tonne work.
Yeah.
I had some 7, but no 14.
But you had ambitions.
Yeah. I was starving.
And I think the conversation around I'm thinking about getting this truck, what do you think? It very, very, very rarely works. The only time it may work is if you've got your dad or your uncle in a big tier 1 that gives you the wink and says,
yeah,
you'll get work there, which I didn't have. So I'll never, ever forget that trip home from Goulburn, because I got there, the truck was big and shiny, just like I wanted. But I started to think about monthly repayments, insurance and this and that, and it was twice the height of the last one, and I was like, oh, what have I done? And I reckon...
She's a long drive back from Goulburn thinking you're a fuckwit. Long drive back, like 15 grand a month.
I was looking at the height of it, thinking I'm going to pull down every power line around Melbourne. I'm like, I felt sick, and I'm like, I reckon I was numb for 6 of that 8-hour drive or whatever it is, and I was like, this is going to get interesting because I've committed, I've bought it, it's in my name, and even still now, what people don't realise really is when you're buying big assets like this and you're signing up to certain interest payments and this and that, you kind of can't get out.
No, you can't. You can't get out. 2 years is like the get out time. 1 year worth of interest, 1 year worth of repayments.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you can maybe get close to your money back. But if you've bought it and then you have nothing for 6 months, you sell it. You'll have to pay to sell it.
You have to pay, and
like on that price, probably a couple $100 grand.
I reckon it would have been around a couple $100 grand, and then that sort of started to. I went home, read through my contract again, just so that I knew all my options, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
This is mine now, this thing. and like you say, it's probably that 2 year period, and then some companies, and I've done it in the past, you gear it differently. It might be year three and a half till you can actually get out, and not, you got a big asset there that everyone thinks, oh, he paid 500 grand for it, but he'll be right because he could always sell it. Well, you can't.
No.
You can't sell it because... And then at that 2-3 year mark, whatever it is, you might sell it and just pay the remaining of the finance. You're not walking away with anything.
Like at year 2, you could get out at 0.
Yeah.
You've held 24 months of repayments and then you can get out at 0.
Yeah. You're not getting any money back.
No, nothing. You've just got it off of your books. That line item that says 15 grand a month is now gone.
Yeah.
That's all you're getting.
Yeah.
Which is really like another thing that people don't talk about, think about, anything else at the start of business. It's like, yeah, you can sell it. Well, hang on. All of the interest over that 4 or 5 years, depending on how you set it up, they want it.
Yep.
So if a 550 grand, and let's say there's a couple $100 grand in interest, it's a 750 grand payout.
Yep. And it ain't worth that.
And you're not a dealership for vac trucks, so no one's going to pay you the 550.
No. And then this all dawned on me at this point. So I went home and I was like, okay, the only option is get to work. So got jobs here and there for it, doing the comms work that I was already doing. And then I got myself in front of some really good people at projects, rail projects. You make these phone calls every day, and finally, like, yeah, I'll come. Oh, you got NDD? Yeah, right. I'll come and we'll sit down with you. And the first question is, how many can you supply? And I'm like, 1. And they're like, okay. And it was the same response every time I sat down with the right people was, oh, do you know these bigger guys? You probably go chat to them and subby to them. And I sort of like, I still roll this way now. It's if I am working with someone and I start working with someone, I'm not going to work against them. And I didn't have any relationships in any of these other bigger companies at the time, but I was like, I want to grow this place and I don't want to start working under them and then start taking their work. I'm like, I need to do this on my own. And I think it was a real benefit for me that looking back that I didn't have any previous experience in the industry. I didn't know all the industry people and this and that. And that had its challenges, but it also meant that I could step back and go, I don't know what they're all doing. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. So these conversations, they kept happening, and it was...
Sounds like you need a second NDD truck, surely.
Well, how many times you can keep going back and they're like, subby to them, subby to them, subby to them. And then, okay, then I went, right, I'll change my sort of pitch here. How many do I need for you to say, oh, yeah, that's enough? And it was all 3 or 4. And I was like, okay, no worries. Same answer that many times. I got back on the phone with Activator and I said, when can I have another one? And they're like, oh, actually, again.
Who'd have thought? There's another one.
Wow. and
if I said, you've got 500 grand, we've got a vac truck for you.
And which, look, lead times were a thing, but it was like we can get it for you. And I said, what about another one after that? And they were like, oh, well, we got, I think at the time they're like, oh, we got this one coming off, and then 3 or 4 weeks later we got the other one coming off, and I was like, I'll have them both. And they're like, huh? I said, I'll have them both. I'll pick them up at the same time. And they're like, okay. I hung up the phone. I was like, oh, the numb feeling came back. Did I do it or did I not? I'm like, oh, I haven't signed the paperwork yet, but I also don't want to be that guy that tells someone, comes from me, I'm having it, and then later I don't do it. So I'm like, that's as good as I've bought it.
So how much were those two?
Same again.
1.1 million bucks.
Yeah.
And you were poor at 550, and now you're real poor.
And I was real poor.
Levels of poor, it's getting worse, not better.
And it was getting much worse, much worse. And did not have the work for 3 big vac trucks, let alone had to try and keep everything else busy that we were using, the excavators, all the pit and pipe, blah, blah, blah. And went and picked up the vac trucks, went back to all these people and said, I've got 3 now. And they're like, oh, okay. And that was sort of the turning point for the growth. They started giving me a go. And I was like, how good's this? And then a fresh new company. And then we got to start on some of these rail projects it started with. And they were like, oh, geez, you're brand new trucks and you guys seem good. And geez, we could have used 5 today. Or we could have used 6 today, but you only got 3, so we had to get them in. Oh, we could have used 7. And then started getting a few different projects. And I was like, back on the phone, I'll have another one. I'll have another one. I'll have another 2 this time. And it happened like this. And we touched on it earlier about these growing pains, because at that point in my business, I was going, grow, more trucks, more people, how good's this? One day it might make sense. And, you know, being successful and having money, I was like, I don't really care about that right now. I want to have a business. And
I want to have
run
lots of vac trucks. Fuck
I
yeah.
want vac trucks.
And I love Goulburn. I love Goulburn. The drive home is sick in a new truck
much.
when I'm worried about that I've got to just made the dumbest decision in my life. But isn't it, I've hung up the phone and you look at it and you go, well, what did I just do? Like, did I just really sign up to that? I couldn't have signed up to that. I wouldn't be that stupid. But then you do it. And then it works. And then you go, shit, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have all the people around you like, did you just buy 2 more? You know, that's $1.1 million. And you're like, don't. It's already bad enough.
Yeah.
Where are we working tomorrow?
Come live in my brain for just a minute and then you won't ever ask another question like that again.
I do not need these conversations. But this leads on to, right, I had it started to get all these vac trucks, 5, 6, 7 at this point. And I thought things were going great. I had people employed into my finance team. We were small at that point in time, operations managers, this and that. And this is where the conversation goes around trusting people when you actually don't know how to do it yourself. You employ people, especially in that accounts department, you need the money to come in. And my cash flow was ruined. And I didn't really know why, because I wasn't really educated on that side of things. I was just we're doing a lot of overtime and wages are getting higher and I'm paying to dump these vac trucks every month. That'll be it. Till one day I had my finance person, we'll call them at this stage, resign. And I'm like, oh no, I can't run this business without them. But they left. Couldn't get anyone to fill the spot. So I was like, right, I need to learn. So I sat with my accountant, asked him 1,000 questions, went back through asked more questions, went back through our we call it our Bible, all our jobs are in there and they get ticked off when they're invoiced and this and that. And that was part of this finance manager's job. Now, I was so busy out in the field making sure that trucks had work.
How many boxes were missing ticks?
I
Sounds like there might have been a few.
Looked at the Bible the first day that I didn't have this person anymore and started to see some gaps. And I was like, nah, well, that can't be right. Check I can't find that invoice. Next one, I can't find it. So I'll cut to the chase here. It took me about 3 weeks working disgusting hours and I found $600K that wasn't invoiced. We were in October and it started in May, I think it was. That's when she took on this job of the Bible. And so then I had to, and this is where my job went from getting out, making sure that the diggers are working, the vac trucks are working, trying to build relationships, this and that, to, I'm finance guy and I have to be. So I said to all my guys at the time, I am going to be nowhere near as, supportive as I previously have, because I'm going to be buried in this computer. I need to write these invoices. I need to catch back up. Not only that, we were growing, so the influx of invoices was coming in more and more. So I had to try and catch up, do the ones that were getting done today.
Well, I ended up very similar. Like you end up going around and then you sit down and say, guys, I know it's real easy to pay invoices, eh? Fucking easy to pay invoices. Pretty hard to get paid sometimes. And so we've got all these invoices coming in and all of you are like, right, these are our payment terms. If truck sends an invoice, tipper sends an invoice, we'll process it. This is how we process it. And then you get paid 3 weeks later or whatever the hell it is. What about my money? Like, guys, my money, like, well, what are we doing with it? Oh, this guy has a dispute over this amount, and this guy hasn't paid this, and this builder's pushing back for this, and this guy isn't doing that, and, you know, they're overdue, or we didn't put in the payment claim on the right day when the moon was in its fourth quadrant, so they didn't accept it this month.
Yeah.
And then, but it's real easy to pay out the money. Like those tip invoices, they come in, they get reconciled for the mud that's gone. Reconciled, perfect, put it in for payment.
Yeah, it makes sense, it lines up, let's pay.
Yeah. The other hand, have we then done our bit? Oh no, well, that's a little bit more difficult, so we'll just leave that one for later.
Yeah.
We had a big struggle with that. Now we invoice everything every month.
Yeah.
So every invoice must go out before the end of the month, regardless of anything. Close it and we start again.
Start fresh.
Just to allow that break.
And then everything's accounted for, everything's tracked. And going back to make things worse, we started to use a lot of subcontractors at the time. So we were using, sometimes it was 1, sometimes it was 4. And from this whole entire period that I'm talking about, we were paying subcontractors and hadn't sent our client an invoice for the job they had done for us.
Yeah, sick.
So paying out, not getting a cent. The clients didn't even,
They loved
never
it.
seen an invoice.
They were all happy with it.
And I'm like, it's pretty obvious now why I've got no money. I've still got to try and pay for all these vac trucks every month. I've got a whole of $600K and I've paid out all these subcontractors that have done this work that I've just, you can have it for free, builder. It's fine, you know? Mm-hmm. So I had to claw that back and I had to make a lot of phone calls that were, it's not what I wanted to be doing. Hey, you remember this job we did in June? Oh, I never got an invoice. We surely got an invoice. We would have got an invoice back then. I'm like, please check, you didn't get an invoice. I'm going to send it to you now. I understand if you take a little while to pay it, it's on us. But I need to send it to you.
I did the work.
I need to send it to you. Luckily, everyone, pretty much everyone was like, yeah, no worries. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and then Christmas comes and you're rich again.
Oh, yeah, well, it didn't happen that way. It didn't really happen that way.
And it never does. It never does because all you've done is you've caught back up to where you should be anyway, which of the 600K, you probably had to pay out 500 of it regardless.
Yeah.
You know, and then but it's the cash flow that kills you. It's the cash that comes in and out of your bank account like this. That where do you learn to manage that? How much do you need? You know, like I read things on the internet that says you should have 3 months for some industries and a year of cash in the bank for construction. Fuck, I didn't have a week sometimes. Like, what do you mean a year? And at which point of the year? Because like I'm this size now and I'm growing pretty quick. So what? I need to have my entire year's worth of revenue in the bank account right now, plus the 20% growth that I'm going to be, or 30 or 40% growth, which was quite easy to do in Melbourne when it was cranking.
Yeah, but those kind of cash reserves, they're a fantasy. They just don't exist. Not for a growing business with issues like that. But I'm sure you experienced, you know, your own sort of stories that ruined your cash flow as well. But then to throw more in the mix again is you're still uneducated and you still want to grow a business. You still got that hunger to grow. You know your cash flow is bad, but your clients are asking for more. So you start running your business off your bank account, and that's dangerous. I did it for a period of time, and it's, you know, I'm glad the business is still here now and running, but I'd look in my bank account and go, oh, there's 200 grand there. I only need to pay 10% for another vac vader. That'll leave me with 150. That'll be all right. I'd ring up and buy another truck. And then my accountant would ring the next day and say, hey, just let you know, next Tuesday you got a tax bill. It's 200 grand. I'm like,
nah, surely not. That's wrong.
Can you check that?
Yeah, I haven't got any money. How do you give me a $200 grand tax bill when I've got no money? Like, it makes no sense.
It made no sense, and it was always right after you make another big purchase, your accountant calls you up. And looking back, I'm like, yeah, righto, I should have found out these things. I should have educated myself better in the early days. But you're doing everything. You can't just go, right, I'm going to do a crash course.
At some point, you can't know everything about the pipe you're connecting, the pits, the vac trucks, how to fix them, the boys, the girls, the this and that, and know exactly when tax bills are due. And then you end up getting in a position like you end up having multiple companies that are due at different times from different lodgements. And then all of a sudden your accountant seems like he's sending an email every week saying that, there's another tax bill due. How many fucking taxes are there? It's a joke.
And I still have the conversation now. Like, are you sure? You know, those things
wrong.
Those conversations haven't really changed. But back then, he'd be like, "Oh, you got a $200,000 tax bill due Tuesday," and I was like, "I can't." He'd be like, "Oh, you can't?" No. So what are my options? I go on a payment plan. Okay, cool. Do that. So we go on a payment plan, and then I used up my fair share of payment plans in the early days, but they keep coming, and then as I'm sure you know, you're on a payment plan, another tax bill comes in, you can't put that one, just keep adding to it. You pay one of them, either keep the one going or pay that out, or you pay the new one. And it was these conversations and these sort of learnings, and I quickly realised, like, I need to better educate myself on tax, on cash flow, on forecasts. I need to be better at my invoicing because I'm sick of these surprises.
We had a very similar issue with the payments and stuff, where how you had 600K out from your clients. I had $1 million owing to the tax office, and my accountant was busy. My finance team, it was okay. The tax office wasn't chasing it, and like, so we're thinking we're gravy, we're killing it, because that way you've collected the money and you haven't paid the tax. Well, I went to go purchase a property.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, you have to pay $1 million tax bill. And I'm like, now I can't afford the property. I'm fucked, but I've already put down the deposit on it. Like, I'm in a bit of strife here. And like, I think that telling these stories and stuff like that, like, we're absolutely fine. That was years and years ago now. And it's a similar story for you. At the time, you'd never go, guys, I'm on a payment plan here. I've got 600K worth of, invoices that I haven't sent. I'm begging everyone for money. Because all they see is, and all they want to really know is can I have a vac truck on Tuesday? Yeah. And the answer is, fucking oath you can, no problem.
You can have 2, you can have 3.
Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't only ever do 1. You should make sure that it's minimum 2. 2 vac trucks for 8 hours. That's what you need. Actually, we should throw some OT in there, just 10 hours. Yeah. But, the stories that people tell, which makes, I can guarantee you there's a guy sitting down with his tax at the moment, sitting there scratching his head, and I have looked at my accountant and I said, this number is wrong. There is no way that I made that much money and owe that much tax. It's impossible. It's impossible. And they go, no, that is true. We've looked at the numbers. We're unable to do anything with it. This is what you owe. And you go, fuck.
Yeah, and they sit down, they go, oh, let me explain it to you. And they spend 15 minutes explaining it to you, and you go, I still don't get it. Yeah,
I still have absolutely no idea how I can spend, like, I haven't gone and have that much extra in my bank account. I've obviously spent it somewhere, and now all of a sudden you're telling me that I owe all of the money. This is not A plus B doesn't equal C.
Nah, does not make sense. But, and look, as much as I understand business much better now, the tax bills, they still puzzle me from time to time. You get the ones that you go, yeah, I knew that, I knew this. You're like, all right, I need to, you tell yourself you need to educate yourself better with the tax, and then it just still doesn't make sense. But anyway.
But you get a good accountant that works with you, and then all of a sudden doesn't ring you up every 3 months and say, hey, you owe $200,000 next week. You go, surely you had better vision on that, mate. And so you get a better one of them, and you get a better finance broker, and you know how to set up your deals a little bit better, and a few other bits and pieces. And then all of a sudden you don't end up like in my position where just the finance team then process tax payments for a while, and then you're left like that. Put me in a, like, cash flow wise, that really hurt, because I paid out the deposit. And then when we went to the bank to get the loan, they say, well, you got to pay out your tax portal. And you go, okay, I'll pay out the tax portal. How much is that? And they're like, 1.2 million. And you go, what? 1.2 what?
So did you end up with a property?
Yeah.
How did it get managed?
I was poor.
Yeah. That's what happens.
I was poor. I rung up people and said, can they pay early? I rung up people and asked if they can pay late. It wasn't that big of a property. Like, really, the biggest problem was the tax bill.
Yeah.
But I was going to dump my deposit. And to think about it now from back then, like, how stupid, because obviously I went through the same education process as what you did, that I learned about it and got involved in it. And then all of a sudden now I think, how did I get to the point where I hadn't paid tax in so long? I owed 1.2 million.
Oh, yeah.
And now if you don't pay tax for 2 days, like, the tax officer's sending you numbers, you can't screw around with them anymore like 5-7 years ago.
And the tax plans, like, I was going on them every time, and my accountant was like, one day they're going to say no because you've been on too many. And I'm like, well, are they saying yes to this one? Because I need it. And, oh, yeah, lucky for you, they've said yes again. But now, those interest payments, the interest one used to be a lot less.
And two, it's not tax deductible no more.
It's not tax deductible.
Yeah, you're paying profit tax on your interest now.
So that what they're really doing is they're, those businesses that are sort of sitting on the edge and struggling, they're pushing them off.
Yeah, they are, definitely. And it's clear as day. As soon as you understand a little bit about the tax law and a few other bits and pieces, they are 100% pushing people into having to close their business because it makes today's tax bill, if you can't pay it, a liability for next year's tax bill as well. Because now all of a sudden you have to pay the interest. If you pay 100 grand's worth of interest, you then have to pay 50 grand for that on top. So now it's just it's a snowball.
And I think the only explanation is from COVID, I guess, till now, they've had so many businesses
not pay their $1.2 million tax bill, I assume, is probably what ends up happening.
But different to you ended up paying it. Yeah. They're racking up 1.2, 2, 3, and then going, I'm out. And then, you can't recover that. So many businesses have done that. They've gone, okay, well, we're going to up the interest and it's not deductible anymore, and businesses won't survive, but they're left with less debt. Yeah, they probably shouldn't have survived anyway in some of these cases. They probably shouldn't have. It's so strange, the markets and how they influence. What happens, because in a booming market, people will do anything and they'll help support your business, and they'll, look after you and help you out. And we're in so many different ways. Yeah. Oh, you've only got your small vac truck available. That's okay, mate. We'll pay the rate for the small one for you to come and do it because we need one tomorrow. Now they'll be like, excuse me, we take a 20-ton vac truck, nothing less. Yeah, what is this thing?
Absolutely not. They'll send you home and not pay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what? You've only got a 20-ton excavator available and not a 35? No job for you. I'll find it. Yeah, but before it was like, oh, you've actually got something available that can do the job, kinda. Come on down.
It'll do. Bring it on in.
So Louis gave me about the 5 minutes ago. That's how quick the hour goes once you're sitting in the chair. But I always like to link it back up to, at the very end, talk about something that you wanted to say in the podcast that slipped your brain, that you wanted to talk about. And if not, that's why we get you to fill out a form, and then I flick it over to Louis that thinks that he's got the best one.
No, look, I mean, really to finish off, I suppose we've spoken about the growth and the struggles in those early days, and I've probably made it sound like that's just how I run the business. But as time goes on and you educate yourself, and you learn from your mistakes, after those times that I was just talking about before with the 600K and this and that, things started to connect. I started to run the business better. I got really, really good people on board in my business, who most of these people I'm talking about are still here today, coming 5, 6, 7 years. And they're, to me, they're a part of the business. It's not, I don't rock up to Control Tech every morning and go, yeah, this is me.
No,
I've done this. We've done this. So from that point on, I sort of, made it sound a bit doom and gloom there. But, I enjoy running a business. I enjoy the people in it.
I think that what you're trying to say is that, you learn along the way. But the thing is what you're learning is actually what makes a business be able to be successful. Your people take care of it every single day. But if a mechanic walks into you, says he needs to talk about the vacuum on the truck, you can talk about that.
Yeah.
And then the finance person now comes over to you and says, I want to talk about tax. And you go, I can talk about that too. I can talk about whatever we're doing out there. I can talk about, I don't know as much as them.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% over the top of it, but I've got a framework of understanding that comes from experience, and some of those experiences are mistakes. That's what makes for a well-rounded business owner that's able to, take care of a business, I think, is, rather than making it sound like a cowboy who doesn't pay his tax or something along those lines. Like, if anyone here reckons that they haven't tried to claim more in their personal tax return, or haven't paid a tax bill, or haven't gone on a payment plan, most people are lying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's all those learnings, I suppose. And I look back, and we spent a big chunk of time talking about this, the finance issues that I had. But I look back, exactly what you say is I now have worked in every section of my business. And if there is if there is an issue, if I need to run a report a mile, if I need to help do the invoicing, if I need to go out and jump into vac truck, if I need to talk vac trucks with the mechanics.
Yeah, you got it covered.
We
there
can.
was one thing that I wanted to bring up at the end, which I actually, I was speaking to my general manager here, and I said, control tech's coming. And he said, Portuguese tarts. And so what was really interesting, though, is I had no fucking idea what he meant when he said Portuguese tarts. And it turns out that you have a sales rep that rocks up with Portuguese tarts. I have a sales rep who rocks up with pastries. And does your Portuguese tarts work?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now, he's very, very good at his job and sales, Nuno, and this has been his thing, is these Portuguese tarts for so long, and it's not so much there's 20 different ways, 50 different ways to be salesman, and it's not always coming and giving a brochure and saying, oh, we've got this big new truck coming and it's available next Tuesday. It's hey guys, you want a tart? What's been happening?
How are you?
Okay, this has been great. I'm out. That's it. And it does work, and it's all about.
It's so interesting, people's things that they do and like stuff. And so, but I had never heard of the Portuguese tarts until this morning, but the guy remembered your salesman's name. You remember the Portuguese tarts. I had a story about it, And isn't that branding and all of that stuff, which is really hard to do in construction? It's super hard because, like you're saying, you rock up and say, I got a fancy new truck. And they go, so? They've got one.
Yeah.
And now you have one.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good. 50-ton excavators. They're growing on trees at the moment, mate. And all I have to do, drive down to a dealership and there's one parked there and they're desperate to give it to me. So there's nothing special about a 50-ton.
Yeah.
However, if that guy likes sweets and he likes a chocolate croissant and we've rocked up with chocolate croissants, he just might think to himself, I need a 50-ton anyway. Starbucks have a 50-ton. And they also bring chocolate croissants. So it's a win-win for everyone because they're employing a vac truck regardless.
Yeah, that's right. And there's only so many hoodies you can give out.
Oh my God, the hoodies I get. We're a lot on hoodies and merch, and a lot of people want them. And people will be like, "Oh, I'll advertise your product." So I think.
Who's looking at it?
Yeah, what are you doing? Advertising it at a pub in Mildura? What? There's a guy that's going to give me a job there. Now there might be, and for the price of a hoodie is fairly cheap in that certain circumstance. But we get hundreds of people a month wanting hoodies, and especially since I've been dumb and put my face all over the internet, even more people want a Starbucks hoodie. And so then, I don't know, but Portuguese tarts, I thought I'd give a little bit of a shout out to the sales rep that,
Yep, Nuno, it does work.
Why tarts? And it was very specifically Portuguese tarts.
It's Portuguese tarts. So his family's community spent a fair bit of time in Portugal, and it's got a link there somehow, and they are delicious. I don't know if you've ever had one. I'll get a box dropped off here.
Thank you. Oh, it sounds like
it'll have a business card on top, but but they are good. And I'll still get the odd phone call now to say, hey, booked a couple of trucks for tomorrow. Oh yeah. Where are me tarts?
Send a pass with some tarts.
Where are me tarts? So it just becomes a bit of a talking point. One of those things where, like we say, no one, I don't think anyone wants to go in and play that salesman to just say, I want you to use my stuff. Come on, please use my stuff.
I find that the trucks, so you get to a point where you can supply 20 trucks.
Yeah.
There's 5 of us, 7 of us, 10 of us. I don't even know. So I'm assuming it's the same with the vac trucks. You need 5 vac trucks. There's only so many. We all do the same thing. Our rates are all fairly much the same. buy me breakfast. It's not even buying. I hate making it sound like the buy. They don't necessarily want the tarts. They might want him to come past and say g'day, and he gives a really good customer experience, you know. But it's the whole lot put together that, you know, it might have been weird the first time you heard like your blokes dropped off some tarts today, and you go, tarts? What?
Yeah.
And now there's a guy ringing, and you're like, oh. Tarts, we got to do tomorrow.
I promised.
Tomorrow, you're going out to Clyde or Berwick for tarts.
Yeah.
All right, well, Brenton, Controlled Tech Solutions, I appreciate you coming.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No problem whatsoever. As always, like, subscribe, share, comment. It's going quite good. And if you think of anyone who you should come on, please let me know. If you've got any mates that you think will put on a good podcast.
Thank you.
Done. Perfect. Thank you very much.